Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Logical Nonsense Podcast. Today we have a loaded one. LeBron hit 40,000 points, something that's obviously never been done. Of course, he broke the scoring record. Now he hits 40,000 points. Big debate there. I'm going to go through it. Some possible people who could maybe catch up to LeBron, a very, very hard feat to do, as well as the Broncos releasing Russell Wilson and just saying, fuck it. We'll pay $85,000 in cap to get rid of him. Why that's a bad decision, as well as a full album review on Schoolboy Q's new album, Blue Lips, coming up next. Stay tuned. Starting with sports, LeBron, he hit 40,000. A incredible feat to do. Obviously, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was second. I guess he's second now. He was previously the leader. A lot of people, greatness, his greatness, LeBron and Kareem both have been known for their longevity. They've been able to play the game for so long, and obviously LeBron's still playing. He's going to continue to grow that number, and we don't know what number he's going to go till. We don't know how long he's going to continue to play for. I think LeBron hitting 40,000 just speaks volumes to how long he's been in the league for. He obviously entered the league 2003, 2004 season. He's still playing today. Some stats, some metrics to you. He's averaged 38 minutes a game, which is crazy to think about when you think about 20 plus years that he's been playing. To play consistently 38 minutes on average per game. There was a stretch there from 2003 to 2018 where he was playing all but one season. He played more than 75 games. So to think that not only is he playing 38 minutes, but he's also playing over 75 games is absolutely nuts. It's no secret how he got to the number he is at today. All of those seasons are great. Obviously, he's slowed down. Now he's averaging, I don't know the exact numbers, but 35, 34, 33, around 35 minutes would be what I would guess. Around 35 minutes and around 50-ish games is about where he's been at per season the last 5 or so years. And he's slowed down a little bit, but he's really laid a groundwork for people to not beat his record of 40,000 points. I did a little bit of digging. I know some people looked at Luka Doncic possibly catching up to him. Luka Doncic hasn't played, he's played 72 games his rookie year, and since then he hasn't played more than 66 games. He also doesn't average as much minutes as LeBron. LeBron, like I said, 38 minutes. He's averaging 35. He needs a lot more minutes. Obviously, Luka's averaging a lot of points still. This year he's averaging 34. LeBron's total points per game on average is 27. Averages more points per season right now. Luka has some catching up to do. Obviously, he's had a great year this year, and I'm not saying it's not doable, but he'd have to maintain that for a very long time. I also, obviously, LeBron took very good care of his body. It was something he really invested into. And so I think Luke is going to have to do the same if he ever wants to achieve that goal. We're talking about 20 plus years of basketball to reach this at a high level of basketball, scoring, being the focal point of the offense. LeBron's been the focal point of pretty much every offense he's been in. You could argue not lately. I still think he is. He's definitely one of the strong points. And, Luka's going to have to do the same if he wants to achieve that. There's also talks about Victor. Victor's only averaging 28 minutes per game, and there's a reason for that. Victor also could run into injury issues. All these guys could run into injury issues. One of the crazy parts about LeBron is that he didn't get injured throughout this whole time. He didn't have a season where he played less than 50 games, and that's hard to do in the NBA. Think about how many times you see a player get injured at least once in their career. Steph Curry, KD. All these guys have hit an injury at least once in their career, and it's at least done it. Even a guy like Joel Embiid, he's out right now. Like, there are so many guys that continuously get hurt in the NBA. It's going to be hard. I don't think it'll ever be done again. Well, okay, I'll pause there. I don't think it'll be done in the near future. Obviously, we don't know how the game's gonna look. There could be a time where players are averaging 50 points a game, and, that cuts the time that you need to, achieve that goal, obviously, by a lot. So I think it depends on how the game changes, but for now, in the foreseeable future, is there a guy in the NBA right now that I think can really achieve it? No. In the future, maybe. Going to Russell Wilson, Broncos fan here. This one, I'm very mad at management. I think since day one, there were high expectations. The Broncos wanted another Peyton Manning situation. They wanted him to come in like Peyton Manning did and take this team by storm. Peyton Manning, those of you who don't know, had one of his best seasons within the first 2 years of getting to Broncos, threw for about 57 touchdowns or something like that. Something crazy. I think he might still have the record for most passing touchdowns in a season, probably passing yards in a season as well. The man went off. And I think they saw similar thoughts. They saw a path that worked in the past and they wanted it again with Russell Wilson because Peyton Manning was aging. People were like, don't go for him. The Broncos took a chance. It worked out. Russell Wilson didn't see the quite exact same success. I will defend Russell Wilson in this. Peyton Manning was a guru of football. I think he developed and had a better understanding of how to learn playbooks faster than Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's obviously a professional, and I'm not saying that he was terrible at learning the playbook, but I think that is a part of it. I also think Denver didn't surround him with as much weapons as they should have. Cortland Sutton, great player. Tim Patrick got hurt twice, who could have been a great asset for Denver Broncos. Jerry Jeudy, one of the most overrated receivers we've ever gotten, continuously drops the ball. He has breakout games now and then, but consistently, he's not a guy that a quarterback can rely on. And that was remained true when Russell Wilson was there. I also just feel as though when he first got there, they hired a new coach, Nathaniel Hackett. He wasn't the guy. He made a lot of bad decisions, especially in the red zone. We couldn't ever score in the red zone. And when you have talent like Russell Wilson, who is able to find touchdowns all the time, something's going on. And obviously, the management of the head coaches was not great. So he gets there, Nathaniel Hackett, not a great coach. They get rid of him. They hire Sean Payton because Sean Payton's going to solve everything, right? Sean Payton's a fucking asshole, okay? Tries to bring in this like, oh, I'm arrogant. I'm going to take over the team. You guys have been losing, whatever. Doesn't want to hear from, a vet like Russell Wilson, whatever. Russell's great guy, does what the team wants him to do, everything that's expected from him. And again, the Broncos start off really bad, 1-5. They then come back on a streak and, they didn't make playoffs, but they went on a run there. And when you look at that, it's undeniable that, Russ had something left in the tank. And honestly, he didn't play that bad. He had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. His passing yards were a little low, but he also didn't play the entire season because they sat him. And to give up on a quarterback was just stupid to me. I think the way they treated Russ was extremely unfair, and it felt like this team gave up on him before they gave him a chance. He has 2 different coaches, probably, I don't know this off the top of my head, 2 different schemes as well. Has to learn 2 different playbooks back-to-back years. Pay all this money to go get him, give up all this draft capital, whatever. And now the Broncos are giving up on him after 2 years. It makes 0 sense to me. Um, I don't understand it. I don't. How are you supposed to rebuild if you release somebody and still have $85 million in dead cap space? How does that make any sort of sense. $85 million in dead cap space. You want to restart? You're not restarting if you're paying somebody to be on another team. Makes zero sense. I also just feel like it's really disrespectful. Um, and it shows two other players. Like, who wants to join the Broncos after how they treated Russ? There's many locker room reports of Sean Payton not treating players correctly, of the unfair treatment by management. Look, it's really hard to be a Broncos fan lately. I do not like the decisions being made up above, and what I think is even worse is we could go out and we could go get a JJ McCarthy, which is not a done deal whatsoever, and you can still go get JJ McCarthy and have him develop under a guy like, I don't know, Russell Wilson, who's won a Super Bowl before. Like, let's think this through maybe a little bit. It doesn't feel like we are making winning moves. It feels like we continue to dig ourselves into holes that just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't understand this. I don't see where we're getting better. It feels like we continue to get worse. We need to surround our fundamental pieces with players who can win. Russell Wilson is a winner. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Obviously, he didn't win. But when you have guys like Jerry Jeudy, who can't catch a damn ball to save his life, and you surround him with KJ Hamler, who just complains and is hurt all the time, as well, I could keep going on. Like, it's just. Next thing I want to talk about is quarterbacks not throwing at the combine. This is a hot topic for me. I think quarterbacks are now scared to throw against each other. The question was asked, are you afraid of competition to Caleb Williams? Caleb Williams, no, I think, the teams that want to draft me, they'll see me throw at my pro day, whatever. The fact of the matter is they are scared. Their agent is telling them to do that. The reason is it's strategic. If you're locked in top 3 pick before you go to the draft combine, why would you risk throwing the ball in front of every single other prospect? So you have a direct comparison. He throws. Right after him, Michael Penix throws. Right after him, Joe Milton throws. Two guys who have bomb arms. If Caleb Williams has just an off day, he's immediately compared to them. Some teams, maybe like the Bears, drop him down. There is more risk than there is reward for the top 3 draft picks of Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. And that's why they didn't throw. Do I think it's stupid? Absolutely. I think the loss of competitiveness, it sucks. I think it makes the combine a lot less interesting. We're obviously, not everyone watches the combine, but I think just brings more mystery if these guys are a bust or not. And, it's all about talent and ability and direct comparison. And people are just scared of that nowadays. They're all about their money, Caleb Williams, especially. And if he's a guaranteed top 3 draft pick, that means a bigger contract. And if he competes at his pro day, he has more control of the situation. If he competes at the combine, he doesn't. And that's why he's scared. That's why these quarterbacks are scared. On the flip side, a guy like, Hartman or Joe Milton or whatever, right? Insert whoever. They have more opportunity to prove themselves because right now they have nothing to lose. It definitely hurts the top guys, and that's why they're not doing it. I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. If you're the best, you should prove you're the best. There's no reason why you should be scared of a Joe Milton or a Michael Penix Jr. if you think you're truly better than him. But I know why the agents are doing it, as I said. So it doesn't make sense. I wish it would change. I hope it changes. I guess we'll find out. But Schoolboy Q just released Blue Lips. Very interesting album to listen to, especially on the soundscape, which I'll get to when I give my logic method of rating. Starting out with Funny Guy, very intro song. It has like a carnival sounding loop, like a distorted carnival sound is the best way to describe it. Creates definitely a lot of suspense. It slowly fizzles out and he kind of transitions on to this song, but it's more of like a mood setter. There's not really a lot of real content into it. Then he moves into pop. I've had mixed emotions about this. I think it's a very ferocious sounding beat, and Q comes in and there's a beat drop, and it's very suspenseful. It almost sounds like murder music is the best way to describe it. The screams really bring in fear. He has a cutthroat sounding verse. It's everything you would want from an energy standpoint. Um, I think for my liking, I think it's a little too much. I like the mood he sets though with it. I think he achieved that very well, especially bringing somebody like Rico Nasty on. I felt like it was a little repetitive. I know a lot of people like that verse. I kind of find the song annoying, to be honest, but um also again not my taste. Going to Thank God for Me, more relaxed beat with the flutes, and then the beat picks up, the beat drops, and he brings the flows in. It's definitely like a head bopper. I would like to see Schoolboy Q bring more energy on this beat. He has a decent flow, but it just sounds like his passion isn't there, which I find a lot in this album, which is something that I is a complaint of mine in this album. I think he could have done better kind of actualizing his emotions within the songs. Brings back the original flute in the production. I think it sounds super well, and it kind of ends the song on a good note. Blue Slides, classic sample flip, definitely a more lyrical storytelling Schoolboy Q song, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think this is a song I mess with. It's not like your banger song by Schoolboy Q, but it's an album song. It's a song that I think speaks to the album's theme, and I think these pieces are very essential in creating the story within the album, which I enjoyed. I think it's a relaxed breakup to the rest of the production. A lot of the production feels kind of in your face and aggressive, ferocious, and this felt much more relaxed, much more West Coast feel, if you will. Yearn 101, it's kind of a movie sounding trap beat. He comes in with the super fast flow. This reminds me of something that should be on Crash Talk. It kind of feels like it was inspired from that album, and I like it. I think it's a interesting song, especially how the way the chemistry between the beat and his flow, as well as the way he makes his verse. I think this is a good song in terms of combining the 2. He finally brings a flow that I do like on this song. Lovebirds, kind of a distorted sounding beat again. It's super layered, especially if you pay attention to the production within this song. It's super, super layered. There's a ton of different elements. And then again, another switch up. The amount of switch ups in this album, absolutely nuts. I think bringing back the vocals brings a mood of hope and really keeps you engaged on the beat. And then, especially those vocals kind of bring this feeling of hope after a hopeless, distorted kind of feeling of beat. And so I really love the back and forth on the beat. Overall, the song it's solid. It's nothing crazy, but I enjoyed it. This starts out super chill, movie starts out super chill, then the beat switches up and it comes into this kinda nasty, little lip growl, if you will, kind of West Coast feeling beat. I really like this song, it's super enjoyable to listen to. I think it's a dope ass song. I really like the chemistry between Chike and Schoolboy Q on this. I just wish there was more. Like I said, I think it's too short, and I find that on a few songs in here, I think some of the best songs were the shortest, and I wish he would extend those and kind of cut back on some of the others. Cooties, this one I had kind of a lot of trouble with just because I think the flow is extremely awkward on this. I think he's like trying to do this talk rap thing, and usually when rappers do that, they don't execute it well. And I think the same thing here is said. It doesn't execute well. It's not delivered well. I think, I like that he's telling a story in this. I like the storytelling. Obviously, I'm a lyrical guy, but I think there's better ways to do it, and he didn't achieve it very well on this. The beat is super chill, it's super easy to listen to, nothing wrong with the production at all. I do like when he starts getting melodic. When I heard that versatility within his voice throughout the album, especially on this song, I really enjoyed it. I think that's something I haven't seen from him a whole lot, or at least I haven't noticed in his music a whole lot. I haven't dug deep into his discography a ton, and I wish I heard this more. I think this is a strong suit of his. Ohio, one of my favorite songs in the album, featuring Freddie Gibbs. It's kind of a jazz infused beat. You hear it, and it's one of those beats where you go, "This is gonna be a banger." It's just kind of a rap head song, super enjoyable to listen to. Put on the headphones, bop your head a little bit, tap your feet. It's goes in all different directions like every other beat in this jazz, and then you bring on the higher pace and the fast-paced trap beat. Freddie quietly at the end, they tone it down a little bit, and he quietly makes a super great verse. Freddie's been hitting on all of his feature verses lately, so everyone needs to call him up if they want one. Bo featuring Absol, another one of my favorites. I think the way both Schoolboy Q and Absol bring some of the best verses on the album, especially lyrically, is great. The My only knock on this, I wish there was a better chorus. I understand the chorus, I understand the theme of the song, and I think the beat in the background is super dope with the kind of orchestra sounding as well as the drums coming back and forth and looping them in and looping them out. It's super dope. My own Like I said, the only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the chorus. I just think on a song like this, they could have achieved a better chorus with it. First, talking about choruses, this one's super catchy. I think super layered beat yet again. You have distortions as well as switch ups, and the last part of the song is super super dope. I like hearing this type of flow from Q, bringing a more energetic flow from him. Overall, I enjoyed this song. Nunu, another chill, more laid back lyrical song. That's something I noticed with Q is it's tough for him. It almost feels like he picks and chooses his beats based off of when he wants to be lyrical or not. You'll see him be more lyrical, more storytelling when he's on a chill beat versus when he brings in those higher pace beats. That's usually when we hear him veer off and talk about the more over talked about topics. But I hear some singing in Nunu, which I really fuck with the melodic form as well. To some, I think it could sound like filler, but I really messed with this song a lot. Back in Love, more of a back to your chilling trap beat that we're used to hearing on this album. I didn't enjoy this song. I felt like it was extremely repetitive, and I think Schoolboy Q again lacked energy on this song. Lost Time featuring Jazzy. It's a dope sample in the back. It definitely has that nostalgic feel, that feeling of almost eeriness to it. Another storytelling song that I was super impressed with. I don't think there's like a super crazy flow, but I think the vocals fit perfectly within this beat. And it's executed well. Germany 86, probably my least favorite song on the album. Extremely awkward, super off cadence. The beat is super dope, and he delivers and executes on this super weird flow. I just don't understand how you could have that dope of a beat and sound that off with it. So, going to Time Killers, this is the flow I wanna hear. This is a passionate song I wanna hear, except for the content is not there. It just feels like another filler song. Going to Pig Feet, this one's a banger. Another one of my favorites. I think it's an in your face beat. It brings the energy, it brings the anthem. It feels like something you could listen to at a gym and get pumped up to. He brings his ferocious flows that we're used to seeing from him, from Schoolboy Q. We're used to that energy he brings, and he brings it in this one. His feature is it's okay, I think it's solid, but I was impressed by Q on this song for sure. Smile, upbeat song to end it. Super unique to the album. I thought it was dope. I think honestly, he's a better melodic rapper than a lot of people probably realize. One of his best flows on the whole album. This song is way too short again. Very similar to Movie, way too short. Don't know why he made all my favorite songs like a minute 30 seconds long. Going to the overall rating of this album, for lyrics, I think for Schoolboy Q album, we've seen him bring the lyrics. We've seen him bring the storytelling. It was off and on. It wasn't consistent. And I think I would have liked to seen that consistency of great lyrics throughout the album, better storytelling throughout the album. It felt like he selected um his more chill beats, like I said, for those lyrical pieces. I would have liked to see him be diverse and bring those lyrics on those more in your face beats that we heard and those distorted beats that we heard. And I think it would have been more enjoyable. Overall, for lyrics, I have 7.7 out of 10. On point production, the production and soundscape on this project is extremely nuts. I think every single song it felt like had sample flips and beat drops, and there was just so much ups and downs and so much to digest. I think the work is extremely noticed. Nothing is singular. It's not simple. It's very complicated, and sometimes things can become too complicated. There's some beats on here that might be, but overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed hearing the work put into the production. It was obviously not slopped together. I thought it was extremely fun to listen to. Um, a lot of distorted sounds, a lot of specific atmosphere is very selective in how he wanted the mood, and I really appreciated that because I felt like it brought a very cohesive story throughout. For this, I'm giving it a very, very high score of a 9.1 out of 10. Glorious flows. This is something I would love to see Schoolboy Q work on his next album. I think he's capable of the flows. We heard glimpses of it. When he brings his fast pace, ferocious, nasty, murder flows, he's great at it. When he brings his melodic, more singing, those are great. When I have an issue with him is when he lacks energy, when it feels like he's talking, when it feels like he's just kind of out of his element. That's when I don't mess with it. I felt like we heard more of that than we did the melodic or the ferocious. And that's why this is a lower rating for me. I think he still brought it. Like, I'm not gonna discredit his flows, so I gave him a 6.8 out of 10 on Glorious Flows. For immediate hits, this one is tough to judge for me because this doesn't feel like a hits album. This feels like just a rapper's album. This is a hip hop guy's album. You're not gonna get those hits like you did on an oxymoron. I think there's potential for like an Ohio maybe to go off with a Freddie Gibbs verse on there that goes really hard, but it feels like the underground world will more appreciate it than the mainstream will. I don't think it'll resonate with the mainstream audience super well. There's nothing on here where I'm like, "Yep, that's a banger I can hear on the radio," which is fine, but, for this rating system, I've got 6.5 out of 10 for that. Content matter. I thought it was a solid album. The production is it's extremely intriguing. It's fun to listen to, great soundscapes, and I think there are some very solid verses in this album. Obviously, not every like I said, that not every track brings it, but there's some very great songs. Would have liked to seen more consistent energy, more consistent lyrics throughout this, more consistent flows. That was the biggest knock on this album is there just wasn't consistency. You can be diverse, you can bring different unique things, but it needs to be consistent. It needs to be cohesive for it to tell a story of an album. That's what an album is. It's not a collection, it's an album. I think there's better work from him. I think especially after a 5-year wait, I would expect more. But overall, it's still a solid album. It's an above average album, and for the content that he created here, it's solid. Some people saying it's the album of the year. I disagree. I think there's a lot to improve on within this album that he could have improved on. And for his content matter, I have a 7.2 out of 10. That gives us an average score for Blue Lips, a 7.46. Again, above average album. I do recommend everyone listen to it because everyone has their own interpretation of albums. It's a solid album. I think it'll live on as one of the, I don't want to say better, but I think for now it's one of the better albums that has released so far. All right, everyone, thank you so much. A shorter podcast today. Wanted to deliver on just some hot topics as well as get you out the Blue Lips album review. Some great content coming soon. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube as well as follow on Instagram and TikTok. Been posting some great clips as well as some content on there. So make sure to check it out. Appreciate everyone who has supported me. Can't believe I am where I'm at. Also, a huge announcement is coming out soon about the Logical Nonsense podcast. So make sure to stay tuned.